Welcome everyone to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and joining me, as always, is Tim.
I got nothing.
I think we all figured that, Tim, but the third second of you saying I think we all clocked onto that a little bit. But welcome everyone. This is a horror movie podcast. We get together to talk about a movie. It's that simple. This week we've got a new release to talk about, which is Insidious Out of the Further, the sixth Insidious movie, which is wild. Obviously, the first one was 2011, so that was a while ago now, but it's just kind of nuts that one of these things that I consider a newer franchise, we're up to number 6, already. Fun. We're the Jason Lives of Insidious. Or the Freddy's Dead, if you will. Or, if you really want to get saucy, the Curse of Michael Myers.
Oh.
So it's got interesting competition in this arena, shall we say. But yes, welcome to the show. We'll start spoiler-free, of course, as we always do. We'll give you a warning before we get into the spoilers. And if you're enjoying the show on YouTube, hit the like button. Helps us out a bunch if you do. And, of course, you can support everything over at Patreon and get some bonus stuff. But I'll tell you more about that at the end of the episode. So, I don't think I saw a single trailer for this movie.
I'll be honest, I had super low bottom of the barrel expectations for this, and mostly it was because I had not heard anything. I kept forgetting that it existed because there's no hype around it. I feel like they released a trailer so late, and even then I maybe saw it once. I think there was one theater visit where I actually saw it, and then but yeah, especially compared to other things where I feel that there's so many things that's I saw this trailer a million times or whatever, so I kind of just assumed that they must not have any faith in this movie or anything, which is surprising because I feel like the last one did surprisingly pretty well and stuff, and so you'd think they'd want to hype it up a little bit, but yeah, I had nothing going into this.
Yeah, it's just kind of strangely muted. And it's got a big wide release. I had a decent amount of showings and stuff like that. It seems to be, and it made an okay amount of money opening weekend, I think. Well, just interesting to see, because it does feel there wasn't a lot of talk about it. We knew it was coming out because, every so often we check about these sort of things. Also, I could have sworn at one point the title was Into the Further and not Out of the Further.
Yeah. Into the Further sounds right, but Out of the Further makes more sense with the context of the movie, I would say.
Yeah, plot-wise, it makes more sense now that I've seen the movie, but I swear for the longest time it was Into the Further, then all of a sudden it changed. And I don't know if that's just because maybe one report early on got the title wrong, or if it actually did change at some point.
I guess the last couple of ones had subtitles, but I don't really think this franchise needs them. I think you can just do with the numbers.
Yeah, but at least without the numbers, you can ignore 4 much easier.
That's right.
You don't have to watch The Last Key. You don't have to think about The Last Key. You don't have to entertain the idea of The Last Key. You can just go straight from 3 to the red door and be happy about your business.
Sure.
But anyway, we'll get to it. Obviously, Insidious, I love the first Insidious. I think it's a fantastic movie. I hold it in quite high regard. I think all the mythology it sets up is quite fun. While it does have jump scares, they tend to be quite fun, inventive jump scares, which I don't get mad at. And then sequel-wise, 2 is definitely a bit messy, but I still liked it at the time. 3 was surprisingly quite good as a little standalone movie set in that world. 4 kind of sucks. 5 isn't great, but was a decent enough send-off to the original family, and I didn't mind watching that one, so...
It was fun.
Yeah, expectations-wise, outside of maybe it's weird that this is so quiet, I didn't necessarily have, either positive or negative expectations. I was like, okay, let's just see what they've got. Have they got something interesting after we did the kind of the send-off to the original characters last time? So, I don't know if I was about to say premise-wise. The main character had some troubles with her mother when she was young. She is now grown up with a daughter of her own. She is a dentist, so expect a lot of dental creepiness in this movie. If you like the sound of drilling into teeth and stuff of that nature, then...
Oh, you know I do.
Well, you're a sicko, Tim. You're like a proper freak. We all know that.
That's true.
And if you like a good pillow fort, I suspect that you're going to enjoy things in this movie. But I suppose we'll get into it then. Tim, what did you think of Insidious Out of the Further?
So, I mean, this is a case where maybe it kind of helped, like, not having much expectations or having low expectations, because I was kind of pleasantly surprised by this. Like, I mean, I don't think it's amazing by any stretch. And I would say definitely like the weakest stuff is like, I didn't really care about the characters that much, but I think there is a pretty solid premise in it, which they are doing something different. Which, you know, like basically, you know, obviously we're not going to give too much away without spoilers, but like just kind of a general sense of the premise, which I think they do touch on in the trailer, is the fact that, you know, this main character, Gemma, you know, she's going into the further, but she has like this unique ability where she can bring stuff out of the further. And then that basically sets up this, you know, group of bad guys that want to use her to escape to the real world. And then, yeah, it ends up going to like some crazy places from there. So I actually think they had like a pretty interesting idea. And yeah, it's not perfect, but I actually thought there was like some pretty fun stuff in here. It's kind of like designed to, you know, like the series in general, it feels like it's just designed to have like some really freaky, like, you know, scares and stuff, like you're alluding to, like the pillow fort scene and stuff in like the dentist's office. And as a vehicle for doing that kind of stuff, I think it mostly succeeds. This is certainly like the nastiest one of these movies. I feel like I feel like they usually don't get like that gross. Like they're usually trying to be more kind of creepy or freaky. This one definitely had like, I guess again, some of the dental stuff that I'm like, ooh, like this is kind of nasty, or like, oh, I don't really like that, you know, that thing or whatever. So yeah, I would actually, you know, recommend this one. Like again, it's not like amazing, like it's not like, oh my god, this like totally revitalizes the franchise or anything. But again, in terms of like the sixth entry, you know, in a series, I'd definitely put it as one of the better ones. That is funny though. There are like two, like, again, like, you know, probably not supposed to think like too hard about some of the stuff going on, but there's like two huge, like, I don't know if I want to say like plot holes, but like questions I have in the movie that we'll get to in spoilers. But basically, like, it involves like there's you know, aside from the demons, like let's say there's like a human element to this one, and I have like some very big questions that I feel like I need answers for in that regard. So it'll be very interesting to talk about that. But yeah, again, I think some of the weaker stuff is like the characters didn't really stand out to me, and like I like the overall premise of the story, but I don't know if like, you know, it's necessarily like riveting at all times. And there's some stuff that's, you know, kind of set up that you're like, oh, okay, that's obviously gonna come into play or whatever. But again, like I don't think it like super hurts the movie overall. Like if you kind of know you know, the franchise, and you can kind of expect what you're coming in for, I don't know, I thought it was like a decent time. I was you know, I was a little surprised to be honest.
I feel like you were like skating there between, I don't want to, like, I want to sell that I'm surprised, but I don't want to sound too positive either. So I'm going to keep like flipping between like what the tone of this is.
Well, I'm definitely not negative on it. Like I don't want to, like, you know, it's just weird because it's like, again, I was expecting like, you know, I was like, this is probably gonna be shit, huh? Like I haven't heard anything about it. Like again, I'm just, because usually if something is good, like you'll see someone somewhere being like,
oh sure,
holy shit, like people have to see this right now or whatever. And I mean, granted, I'm not online as much as I used to be, so maybe people were raving about it or whatever. But I feel like that usually breaks through, even as, you know, someone that's not online that much. But
well,
yeah,
you know, take the win, sound positive. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get across exactly how positive you are as it goes on.
Sure,
you
sure.
can say positive. Be happy. It's not all doom and gloom. Yeah, this won me over quite a bit actually. So I like the movie was starting. I was, I was like, this is fine. I wasn't necessarily feeling particularly strongly about stuff early on, but as it went on, it kind of started tapping into the things that I really like about Insidious, which is that, okay, we've got these rules that have been established since the first movie, and now we have this new wrinkle, like this person with an extra ability, and how do we use that? And the plot revolves around that, and how does this work? And I just like, I kind of agree that the characters they're fine. I don't think they're bad characters, but I don't think they're particularly exceptional either. But I think what works about this for me is that as it goes on, the characters get really proactive, and there's this kind of sense of like everyone who gets involved starts working together. There's kind of this establishing of, okay, well, if this is how this thing works, then how do we use that to win? How do we use this to do that? And like, all the rules are mostly pretty understandable. Some of them from previous movies, some of them are kind of new because of the extra things in this one. But it felt like to me that as it went on, the premise was winning me over, because it was like, okay, this makes some amount of sense based on what's already been established in the Insidious mythology. And that, I found that part of it to be particularly satisfying as someone who always enjoyed the mythology of these movies. And then on top of that, you've got kind of this almost Elm Street-esque kind of quality to it, because the main character typically ends up in the further, whether she wants to or not, every time she falls asleep. So there's almost this like, oh shit, I don't want to fall asleep kind of thing going on. Yeah. And how do we deal with that? So there's definitely a little bit of Elm Street influence in there, but it fits well with what's already established in Insidious. So no, I really like I think the story got better as it went along, where I liked what the premise was, and I liked how it became about forming a plan and trying to do something about what was going on. And some of the scares are fun. Some of the set pieces, they play around with are good. And it's not too long or anything, so it doesn't outstay its welcome. I like how some of the characters, like the side characters, get a bit more involved as it goes on, and kind of thing. Because just when you think it's going to do too much of that thing where, oh, the boyfriend character doesn't believe her, like almost immediately as soon as I started to have that thought, it did something to completely take that out of the equation, and I'm like, okay, you know what? The movie almost like they knew I was going to feel annoyed that we were about to go down this path, and they intentionally immediately dealt with it. And I like that. So
yeah, there's a couple of things I want to touch on, which I basically agree with everything you're saying. But like, I think that's a good point, that it like, because I agree that I do feel as it goes on that I was finding myself more and more invested, because like the opening scene, I don't think it's necessarily bad, but I feel like it's something we've seen before. Like it's kind of like, okay, the flashback, and then there's a thing with her mom that I was like, I kind of feel like I know what's going to happen later on with this in the movie.
Yeah, there's a very kind of like thing that you feel like it's obviously setting up. And if anything, the one critique I would have, without giving anything away here, is that I was surprised how long it took the main character to realize something that I realized. Yeah. Well, I mean, because I knew it was an Insidious movie from the start, I kind of already knew in the opening, but I understood why she didn't. Right, but after a certain point, I'm like, how have you not put this together yet? Come on, Gemma, come on.
Oh, totally. Like once you kind of start getting into like more of the plot and like what's going on, like you do feel yourself getting more and more invested. And then it's funny you brought up Elm Street as because I was actually thinking about that too. Which I love Elm Street. Like that's one of my biggest franchises. Like and I don't feel like there's like a ton of movies that kind of invoke that same kind of feeling. But as I was watching this, I was kind of like, oh, like I wouldn't say it's like completely like Elm Street, but I was like, is this kind of the closest thing we have to like an Elm Street franchise? Because like it's not exactly the same as like like Dreams, I guess, but I mean it's similar in that it's like something that happens when you fall asleep, and and that can lead to like very like creative and over the top inventive scares and stuff. And then this movie, it was kind of remind me of that, because a lot of like the later Elm Street sequels, it would have a thing where they would introduce a character that would have like kind of like a new dream ability or whatever.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Yeah.
So with this, it's like, oh, okay, that's fun, and so I was getting those vibes as well. And then also, I think I kind of forgot to mention this, but I do kind of like how, and again, the movie does a good job of like seeding where it's going and stuff. But I was not expecting the ending to kind of go as crazy as it goes.
I agree. I actually think the final kind of, I don't want to spoil anything here, obviously, but like,
right. Yeah.
There's a genuine surprise at the end that for as all the things I did see coming, I did not see that coming, and it was actually quite smart what they did. So I actually felt like, you know what, you had a good idea. Someone sitting down writing this script said, well, you know, like what if this works this way, and what if this works this way? Well, could we do this? And then like, oh shit, that actually made sense. And yeah, so I don't want to give anything away, but yeah, there's a really cool thing at the end.
Maybe like a little hard to talk, like without spoilers. But yeah.
The ending hard to talk about without spoilers, you say?
Well, I mean the movie in general. Like I mean, I feel like, you know, like we covered kind of our main thoughts, but yeah. I don't know if like there's much else I can, you know, think of, you know, without going into the actual spoilers.
It's because a lot of what we like about it, I think, is where the fun plot is, and the fun plot is something you don't want to spoil. So, you know, just in terms of like some typical spoiler-free beats, you know, the cast, they're perfectly fine. You know, it's Amelia Eve plays Gemma, our main character. She's perfectly solid in the role.
Has she been in anything else I would recognize her? Or?
I don't think so, because I didn't really recognize her. I mean, I don't know if she typically has had many leading roles per se. Oh, she was in The Haunting of Bly Manor. You may have watched that.
Sounds familiar.
That was the follow-up to Hill House or Hill House.
The Mike Flanagan one, right?
Yeah, although he didn't actually do that one. He only produced that second one. He didn't like direct it. Oh,
okay. I thought I did, but I'm sure I probably did. I just don't remember much about it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was but I wasn't that familiar with her either. The other actor in here that I kind of recognize is one of the side characters who comes in as a tattoo artist, Claire. That's Maisie Richardson-Sellers, who she was in Legends of Tomorrow, which is the main place I know her from. It's funny though, because like when she popped up in this, I kept thinking, man, she really looks like a younger Jada Pinkett Smith. I was getting like very similar kind of vibes to her.
I always see like some of the like crazy, you know, like screenshots or, you know, gifs or whatever for Legends of Tomorrow, and like, is that like a fun bad show, or is it just like, nah, it's not worth watching?
Season 1's pretty rough, but season 2 onwards is like they realized, oh, we should just be having fun with this, and it does. Like I would borderline say it's an intentionally fun show, so therefore kind of good, but never like it's never, you know, it's a silly, you know, show for sure. Seasons 2, 3, and 4, I definitely enjoyed. I never actually watched the last couple of seasons because I just kind of fell away from all the DC shows at that point. But so, I mean, that was the only actor that I kind of recognized, really, out of these like supporting characters. Like, there's the boyfriend character Nick, played by Brendan Perea. There's the daughter, of course, played by Island Austin. Villains played by Sam Spruell, which I don't think maybe I didn't know him. I mean, he's an older guy, so I assume maybe I've seen him in something at some point.
Yeah, definitely, you know, no one was bad or anything. But yeah, it's like no one that I really recognized. No.
I mean, if anything, the villain's the one that you might accuse of hamming it up a little bit.
Sure.
He likes to do the I'm evil monologue a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is very different to previous Insidious villains, because Insidious villains in the past haven't really been that talkative by and large. They've been very just, you know, stare or scream or whatever. So it's a little bit different having a more of a voice to the villain. But hey, we have to have a different villain eventually in one of these movies, so I wasn't mad about it.
This one definitely felt a bit more comic booky to me, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You know,
sure.
I mean, sometimes when you talk about movies, it might have a bit more of a negative connotation nowadays. But like, I love comic books, and it doesn't work for everything. But I thought, in this it was a fun way to approach it.
I think in what I like about Insidious, it does fit into it. It fits in having just a slight amount of humor and cheese, not a ton, but just a little bit to, because even that first Insidious had like Elise coming in with the two goofy paranormal investigators and stuff, and I was never mad at that. Like I was like, this feels like it fits into the vibe of the movie. So
totally.
So yeah, as far as anything else goes, as before we get to spoilers, I don't know if there's much to say. We talked about cast, talked about the plot being good, some of the inventive scares, which obviously don't want to get into too much detail yet. But
yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say about like other stuff, like looks wise. I thought it looked pretty good. And like music wise, I can't say the music really stood out too much to me.
Not particularly.
Definitely.
It has that same sting when the title comes up that they've had since the first movie, where it's like and it's like in your face.
yeah, like there's some stuff, and I feel like parts where like they go into the further that like sounded if not the same, like at least familiar, but I can't say like I came out being like whoa impressed, but at the same time like none of it's bad.
Yeah, I think the sound design sticks out a bit more than the music does, because when they go into the further and you just hear the ticking or whatever it is, or the sort of the accentuated just like one or two simple noises that are playing, or the sound just sort of drowns out kind of thing. Like that stuff is pretty effective. I mean, I will say this, like, for a franchise that's hitting movie number 6, like in the past, it feels like, especially with horror franchises, you have a lot of things where they don't really care past a certain point, and they'll, like, whoever's coming in to do a new movie will just kind of do whatever they want, and it'll just be loosely tied to the previous ones. This feels like it's actually pretty honourable when it comes to, like, no, this was the allure that was set up, this is how the further works, this is how one of these movies feels in like a genuine, like, it feels like the guy who wrote and directed this, if I can just scroll up and get his name,
Jacob Chase.
It seems like it seems like he wanted to like honor what the Insidious franchise was, and didn't just want to come in and just do whatever the hell he wanted. It's like, no, I've got an idea to fit into this, not to completely rear-end it.
Yeah, I was just looking up the director because I was like, I wasn't really too familiar with him. I wonder if he's done anything else. And looks like there's only one other movie I recognized that he's done, which was Come Play. I don't know if you saw that one out.
I don't think we did on this show. No, I remember the title, so I must have knew it existed, but I've never seen it.
I had Britta from Community was the mom in it. But it's unfortunately I don't think that one is very good. I mean, this is quite a step up from that movie. I would say.
Getting rid of Britta, getting rid of the bee.
Exactly.
Okay, well, I think we can get to spoilers then, so we can actually start talking about everything. So. Spoilers for Insidious, Out of the Further, you have been warned. We're about to get into it. I mean, I could have said this first part in the spoiler-free section, I guess, but so I kept waiting for the movie. I thought it was going to be important that it was set in 2019, and it never mattered. It never came up, and it never became... And the only reason why I know it was 2019 is because it starts in 1999, and it specifically says 20 years later... And that's when the rest of the movie takes place. And I thought, that's interesting. Why 2019? That's so weirdly specific, but not quite present day.
Yeah. So first thing I'll say, too, is, and it also says that it takes place in Pittsburgh, which that hit home for me because that's near where I was born. So I was like, I was glad to see a Pittsburgh reference. I think the last Conjuring also took place in Pittsburgh, or at least close. Yeah.
Although it was a bit more prevalent in that, though, because you could see like kind of the kind of the industrial stuff in the background in that one. And this one, they literally could have said it was any city, and I don't think you'd have been like none the wiser.
Yeah, and I could be wrong, but I don't think the other Insidious movies took place in like that area. Like,
no,
I mean, maybe I'm misremembering, but I thought they were like. Maybe like California or something, but I might be completely wrong about that.
I mean, I don't remember at all where they took place, but I don't think there's any reason why they were in Pittsburgh or even in the Pennsylvania-esque area.
And then, so you said that it's 20 years later, and then the only thing I was trying to think of, because later on, 'cause we're in spoilers now, so I don't think I think most people knew this already, but I didn't want to bring up that Elise comes back in this, but I think we
Yeah.
all knew that she would show up. But um, yeah, like she says like, oh, when she's talking about the family, from the other movie, that, oh yeah, they finally close their door, but then once one door closes, another one opens or whatever. So I'm like, okay, so I'm guess they're saying that like when the last movie ended, like that made basically gives way to this movie. But then I'm like, was the last movie in 2019? I don't remember that. Like,
I mean, that didn't come out in 2019. It was like 2023 or something like that.
yeah, it was just like recently.
But for whatever reason, they're saying, yeah, Red Door took place in either earlier 2019 or maybe 2018 or something like that.
Yeah, it just feels like so specific that it's like, well, there must be a reason, right? Like,
yeah,
I don't know why.
Yeah, I kept waiting for something like maybe a character who died in Red Doors, like going to pop up in this is alive, and that's why it's set a few years earlier or something. But no, there was never anything or any particular reason. And if anything, all they really did was like solidify that, like, because at the very least I would have assumed, oh, this takes place before Red Door then for some reason. But it specifically goes out of its way to say, no, this is after Red Door. And I'm like, okay, all right, well, I guess Red Door was a little earlier in the timeline than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It already feels like it was trying to win me over, though, because it's like, all right, so this movie takes place near where I was born, and then also the main character's name is Gemma, which is my daughter's name. So I'm like, okay, like you're, I see that you're appealing to me.
It's funny actually because I just did a movie on Ace where one of the characters was named Tim, and he was a real little scumbag piece of shit. And I thought, yep.
That sounds about right.
If your daughter ends up being a dentist, Tim, then this movie was a prophecy.
Yeah, I did see it with my wife, and I did turn to her and say, "That's our daughter's name."
I think she knows that, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the opening's, whatever, it's 1999. It's kind of like, our main character, Gemma, who's a kid here, comes home from school.
She won't shut up about the Matrix. And
well, she has a Spice Girls poster on her wall, so there's a little bit of period piece shenanigans going on. But, yeah, I mean, she's probably, like, what age would you say she is here in this opening?
I'm so bad with, like, kids' ages that are not my own, but like I guess like I don't know, like 10ish maybe.
Yeah, maybe
I have no idea.
Maybe 11, 12. I don't know, because she feels like she's a little mature. Although part of that is that she's kind of taking care of her mother, who's like really out of it. And obviously, it seems like she grows up thinking her mother was like, on drugs or something like that, and. Obviously, the second we see her, we're like, oh, this is spooky stuff. Something spooky's happening to her, and she doesn't understand it yet. But yeah, because I was just thinking, oh, she's very similar in age to me then, because like 1999 was the year I turned 10, so I was getting the vibe that she's maybe a little more mature than I was in 1999. So sure. maybe 12. I'll guess 12.
Sure, yeah, that sounds about right.
Although having said that, you see her doing her maths homework, and the maths homework looked really simple. Like it looked like something that someone who's like 7 would be doing. So maybe they're sending me mixed messages here, or maybe the American school system is just worse than I thought it was. I don't know.
You're probably not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this all ends with her mother dying, seemingly killing herself by bashing her head into the bathroom wall.
She like wakes up and like they're screaming, and she goes to the bathroom, and the mom's like in the shower, and she has a knife, and it, like what it looks like is that she's threatening Gemma with the knife, and then she says something like watch me or watch this, and then starts bashing her heads. But yeah, I think like obviously very dramatic for the child and stuff, but I think like it's pretty obvious that it's like, okay, yeah, like halfway through the movie or towards the end of the movie, she's gonna like basically relive this and see that there was some demon or something that was threatening her.
Yeah.
That she's actually not trying to be mean to Gemma, but trying to protect her.
I'm sure your Gemma will have the same realization about something that your wife did one day. Like, oh, that's why she was standing staring at me that way that one day. There was a demon behind me.
Or like when she opens the pantry door, and I'm just like, in my underwear eating chips, and I'm just like, oh, it's a demon.
You saw nothing. You saw nothing.
Yeah.
I was not eating chips at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I guess you already know the name of your future granddaughter. Your granddaughter is going to be called Maya. Just accept it now, I guess.
Oh.
Hey, it's not your choice. If Gemma wants to call her kid Maya, that's on her. I mean, honestly, even as soon as you start getting the main part of the story, it's very clear that whatever's going to happen to Gemma over the course of the movie it's going to be the exact same as to what happened to her mother, right? It's going to be, oh, like you started going into the further, you started seeing demons, and it started making you feel a little out of it, and your kid starts getting scared of you. That's exactly what's going to happen, and your Maya's going to get scared of you, and you're going to realize, oh, this was always this all along. And which is why I was saying I was kind of shocked that it wasn't until she actually saw it play out in like a further memory where she finally puts it together. And I'm like, geez, the second your daughter's scared of you, it should have been clicking that your mother went through the exact same thing. Like, it should have just immediately clicked. But, I mean, that's a minor quibble, all things considered. It's not like a big deal that she doesn't figure it out. It's not like it's holding the plot back or anything in any way. So... The big things here, right, in terms of premise, right? Obviously, she's fallen asleep. She's getting into the further, and she's seen some spooky stuff. She's running back to her body, and at first she just thinks it's a nightmare, of course, right? That would makes the most sense.
Yeah, and the things she kind of, or I guess, are seeing the most are like these 3 creepy old people that she's also seeing like walking around her neighborhood. So she's kind of just thinking like, oh, I'm having these weird nightmares about these like, old people that are walking around. Which, to be fair, they're very creepy old people. Like, even if I saw them walking down the street, I'd be like, ugh, like, jeez.
Yeah, you'd be running up and taking their oxygen tank away and throwing it into the river and be like, time is up, old man.
I mean, after seeing this movie, I'm definitely not going to take any chances if I see any oldies walking around the neighborhood.
Any oldies that look suspicious, any fishy looking geriatrics. But, like, yeah, so you have a couple of creepy dream sequences. Well, they're not actually dream sequences, but she thinks they're dream sequences. And it's like, okay, we're playing by the rules of the further. She's running back to her body. We've got the mist on the floor, and it's all dark around and all that kind of stuff. And we're setting up kind of the rules of this. And, at first it's all right. A couple of the sequences are fine. But, like, it was taking me a little while to ease into the plot. Mainly just because, to start with, it's like, it's like any other supernatural movie. There's the first couple of instances of something spooky happening are just kind of, they're fine, they're whatever. But they're not necessarily, like, wowing me or giving me what's unique about the premise of the movie quite yet. But then it starts to kind of evolve. And arguably the first big set piece that I think sort of got my attention was really the pillow fort, or it was actually the cushions from the couch more than pillows, but that sequence, because at first I thought, oh, this is a bit gimmicky, but then the actual it playing out was so fun that I'm like, you know what, you had a good idea and you went with it and it worked. So
yeah, and I remember, like, this was probably the one thing I remember seeing in the trailer, and I kind of had the same thought that I was like, okay, this is probably your big set piece, and I don't know, it just feels like maybe, just like a bit obvious or something. Like, as soon as they go in, like, the, under there, that you can kind of see it playing out. But again, it's just kind of well done, so it sucks you up in it. And I wouldn't say I'm like, like overly claustrophobic, but I do always tense up a bit in like tight spaces. So I would say this was kind of, working for me. And then, it's just pretty fun. I like when she kind of turns that like first corner, and then she sees like up ahead, and it's just like that face just slightly poking out and staring at her.
Yeah.
And again, I kind of like that, it like kind of does it a bit more like subtle than maybe some other movies would, where maybe you would have the face like disappear then reappear, or like, there'd be like a loud sting or something. Like, I thought they played it like, pretty well, where it's just like,
they knew for a lot of the jump scares in this to not do a loud noise, at least not at first. Like, they let it be quiet first for the audience to notice, and then played the loud noise once the character notices, and that felt a lot less annoying, because it was like, no, you let us have the creepy bit first, and then you sort of ramp it up when the character starts freaking out. But to explain what's going on here, she goes into this like pillow fort that her daughter's built, to get something, but then it kind of like just mysteriously turns into these long, endless tunnels, like almost like someone calling through a shaft in like an action movie, right? But it's all the fabric of the couch because it's all meant to be made out of the couch cushions, but there's all these like turns where there's like all these like intersections and stuff, and yeah, there's a lot of like in the distance you see this one creepy face sticking out. And it stays there, which I really liked. Like, it didn't keep moving or anything like that, or disappear and came back. It just stayed there. But there's a lot of, like, hearing noises and then turning to the left, nothing there. Turning to the right, nothing there. And every time she turned, there was a little bit of suspense of, like, oh, there's going to be something there. Oh, no, it wasn't. Oh, now I'm still on edge because now I don't know when it's going to pop up. So it was done fairly well, actually. It was like, oh, you had a sequence here. You've got kind of, eventually the jump scare is, like, there's just, like, a face behind her that we can see for a good 5 seconds before she's going to see it. So you actually get to just enjoy the quiet creepiness of like this face just being there.
And I think before that, she even tries to, like, obviously it's a pillow fort, so it's like, just stand up, but it's like, it's solid, she can't like break through it. And actually I think that's when it really started to get me like, oh, okay, this is making me like feel like a bit more trapped and stuff. And then like once the thing's behind her, she starts running from it, and then she kind of like reaches a dead end, and then she finds like just enough of a crack that she can like slip through. But then again, she's going through the cushions, but it's just like so pressed up against her body, and then you're really feeling like the tightness and the suffocation. I thought that was all well done.
Yeah, and she eventually squeezes out, gets back to her body, and this kind of sets up the plot in some ways, because like one of the three creepy people in here puts something in her hand, like a little, say it's like a little badge or a brooch or something like that.
Brooch, yeah.
Yeah. And when she wakes up, she's holding it in her hand, and she's like, "What the hell is this? Like, why have I got this?" Mm-hmm. So that kind of sets up kind of where we're going with the premise. And then the other big set piece that really gets everything going is when she goes into work, like the next day, I think it is, and she's at the dentist. She's seeing other patients, whatever. And the creepy old man of the three, who I think's played by the guy who played the passenger in The Passenger earlier this year.
Really? Oh my god!
So
a big year for him.
Yeah, big year, but better. This is a better turnout for him at the very least.
Oh, 100%.
But he comes in, and I feel like whenever you go to like, I mean, maybe not always, because there's definitely other disgusting teeth stuff in movies, but it felt weird to me that we're watching like a creepy scene in the dentist, but we're on the side of the dentist where she's the one who's been like creeped out and scared by the patient because the mouth's so disgusting.
That is a good point. Like, yeah, it's usually the dentist is the bad guy or the antagonist, and yeah, here's the other way around. To be fair, like, yes, this guy's mouth is pretty gross, but even before that, there's an earlier scene where she's cleaning like food out of braces that I was like, this is pretty gross too.
It was,
like,
but that wasn't like, oh, this isn't meant to be creepy. That was business as usual. That was a normal day at the dentist office for her. I'm like, really? That was a really gross amount. Ugh.
Yeah. So it's so funny too, because these like three old people, they're just meant to be creepy, and like they never like speak for the movie. Like whenever you see them on the street and stuff, like they're always like silent, just creepily smiling. So it just kind of makes me laugh that at some point like he had to make an appointment at the dentist. Like maybe he just did it online or something, but like he had to fill like information out and then go in and like check in and stuff. Like I don't know, it's just like funny thinking like they're so creepy and whatever, but just having to do this like boring mundane stuff.
Yeah. Also, our photograph on the wall at the dentist disappears because they've got like a wall with everyone who works there. I don't know. Maybe it makes people feel more comfortable when they walk in. Okay, the credentials check out. This is my actual dentist. I can see who they are.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen that at like doctor's office or dentist's office before. Like it's
possibly.
Maybe not all the time, but yeah, it's not like out of the realm of possibility. And the thing that really gets me about the scene is like, yes, like the mouth is insanely gross.
It's the way they've gunked it up with like extra jelly or something, so that when he opens his mouth, there's just lots of strings of like spit, I guess. But like it's thicker than normal.
Yeah, but like she's like the nicest person in the world, because I probably would have taken one look and been like, I'm sorry, I can't do this. Like even if you're like, I would have gone to my boss or whatever and been like, listen, like I'm sorry, like maybe this is unprofessional, but I feel like this person is like following me or stalking me. I don't think I could, like, can someone else do it? which and that's another thing too, because because usually like at the dentist you'll have like a hygienist who'll like come and like clean your teeth, and then the dentist will come in and like do like the little look over or whatever. So I'm assuming she's like a hygienist just because like she seems to be doing what they usually do, at least in my experiences. So I was just laughing things like, okay, so like after this, is the dentist gonna come in and be like, all right, what do we got here?
Yeah, my dentist doesn't work like that, but sure.
I mean yeah, maybe it's different, like different places, but yeah, usually have like one person that does like the cleaning, and then the dentist comes in. And I just think she's so like surprisingly calm during a lot of this going on. So like as she's cleaning, she finds like this little like hair or string or something that's like kind of stuck in the teeth, and she starts pulling it out, which I mean, that alone, like I would just be freaking out, like what the hell is this? And then it ends up like breaking off like basically half of his tooth, and her reaction, instead of being like, oh my god, like what the hell, like all right, we need someone to come in here and like look at this, like she's just like, when was the last time you had x-rays? I was like, really? Like that's like your reaction from this?
Yeah. Oh, I think she's just trying to keep cool and try to rationalize everything. She still thinks everything's just dreams, and she's just been freaked out. But she does the x-ray. I was a little bit, I guess the one little, it's not nitpick even, I don't know if I cared that much, but there was one little thing here, because she sets up the x-ray thing, she makes him bite on the thing, and she goes out the room, because obviously she can't be standing in there when she's hitting the x-ray button all the time. She'd get radiation eventually. But she does the x-ray, she comes back in and she looks at it, and then she kept clicking a button, and it kept changing, and I kind of got the, like, wait, are you hitting the x-ray button again, like 4 times while you're standing in here? That feels like a strange move, but I couldn't really understand what was happening if she wasn't just taking new x-rays, because it was like something was moving inside the x-ray.
Yeah, the only thing I guess, if she's not taking multiple x-rays, if it's like, I don't know if they have some fancy thing that like takes multiple pictures at once, and then she's kind of like sliding through the different pictures or whatever, because it felt kind of like a slideshow, where like you press the button and it goes to the next slide. But again, it's kind of weird. But
maybe I'm just kind of like, I'm so used to how the x-rays work when I go to the dentist that anything that was different was feeling weird to me. But like,
they do run out of the room like as if like a bomb's gonna go off.
They do, yeah.
They do it.
Like, as soon as she started walking out the room, I knew exactly what she was doing, because this is what my dentist does. It's like, oh, we can't be in here, or we'll turn into the Hulk or something, because we're getting hit with all this radiation.
Which kind of begs the question, like, wait, should I be in here?
Yeah, well, I think it's fine. That's why you're only allowed to get them like once every year or whatever. But like for them, like if they're doing this 10 times a day for different patients, then that's the problem. But yeah, it does make you concerned just for a second. You're like, wait a minute, can I get a lead suit or something, please?
Yeah, but I would say like this is a decent enough like little setup and payoff. Like I don't know if I was as impressed with this as some of the other things in the mouth, but in the movie, but it's like fun enough. You see the extra teeth.
Some of the other things in the mouth.
There are other things in his mouth, so I guess.
Well, there's an extra set of teeth, which admittedly that was a little bit. I guess that thinking back on it, I'm like, this is in the real world. Why does he have an extra set of teeth?
Yeah, I didn't think about that while I was watching the movie, but then afterwards I was kind of like, wait a minute. I'm not sure how that pans out. Yeah, it
doesn't really matter that much. The whole point is though, she gets spooked when like they come biting down on her, so she like hits her head when she falls, which knocks her out, and that means she's now in the further. And that's the whole point here, is he's here to provoke her into the further, so that the villain can do a test, because he says that he comes and he's this guy with long hair. His name's, we find out later his name's Cyrus, but he's got long hair. He's got like a sort of blindfold over his eyes. And he's got like some rings on, and I don't even know what you call it, but the long kind of metal
finger.
Yeah, it's like he's got a ring in every other finger. Then that one index finger, he's got the full metal covering on. But he's
trying a bit too hard.
He's trying a bit hard. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But like they kind of grab her there, and they're like saying, "Oh, it's time for a test," and then this creepy ass demon from the further who's like, and they're all dental related demons, right? This one's got like the mouth thing in, so all his gums are all pulled out and you can see his teeth, and he's walking towards her, and it's all creepy.
There's like one dentist like with a drill that is getting quite close to her, and like Cyrus kind of says like, no, like you can have her when she's dead, like right now we need her for the test.
And just as like they're all circling her and this guy's coming towards her, like, what are they going to do? What's this test for? All of a sudden, like someone with a light is here, and they're like protecting her, and they're shooing away the demons, and it's a whole thing. And I think most people are going to guess who this is, but the reveal is that it's Elise, who's in the further, and she's like, "Hey, go find me on the mortal plane, something." She hands her like a book, in her hand, and she's like, "Get back to your body." So this is kind of where Gemma learns that she has to get back to her body to get out of here, right? That's kind of like a big learning moment for her.
And again, I thought it was like well done. Like I forget if I forget if she was like wearing like those goggles, or if it was just like kind of in the reflection in her eyes that you just see like the like a little bit of a Elise like swinging the lantern around. But again, like thinking about like comic book stuff, like it was funny, like, oh, this does remind me of like, I don't know, something like in Avengers or something, like when like a character like shows up through a portal or something where it's like, oh hey, I didn't know they were gonna be here. Like it's just kind of funny, like a horror movie having like a moment like that.
Yeah, but notably when she does wake up, she's got this like burned like book in her hand, and it's like, oh crap, like so obviously the first
it's just
time
like half of a book, but
yeah, but the first time she didn't really understand necessarily how she took that thing into the real world. Like she was just kind of confused by it. But this time it was very definitive. Here, I hand you this thing. You can take that into the real world. And sure enough, she wakes up with this in her hand. And it's like, well, that's creepy and weird. And okay, I guess this convinces me that I have to do what she says, because these nightmares are getting really bad and I'm scaring my daughter. And I'm like forgetting to do things because I'm so preoccupied with it and all that. Also, by this point in the movie, we have set up her boyfriend, who's a cop, who comes to see her at the dentist, and he's not quite met the daughter yet. Again, he's a bit on the bland side, but I like the functions of his character once we get into like him being involved in the plot more properly later on. Yeah, but sure enough, she wants to go and check this out. I don't remember if there's like another scare for her, which is what really motivates her to go and find the address in this book.
Well, we did skip the first one, because before the pillow fort, she had the one where with like the flashlight, and she like checks under the bed and sees the feet. And
well, yeah, but what I mean is that was there another one that kind of like double prompted her to be like, at this point in the movie where she's like, she's got this address, she's thinking about going. I couldn't remember if there was like another thing that kind of prompted her into like, okay, I need to go and check this out. I have to go and find this.
I don't think so, because I think it's like pretty soon after that she has like the boyfriend come over and is like, sorry, I gotta go. He's like, oh, like, can you tell me where you're going? So like, oh, I gotta meet like a dead woman or something like that.
No, she says, I've got to go meet a woman I met in my dream, I think was the line, which sounded
right.
insane. She has him over to babysit, and he's never met the kid before. And there's actually probably like one of the best character moments to make them likable in the whole movie happens in this scene, where he's sitting with the daughter, and it's just kind of awkward, and he's just trying to make small talk and saying, oh, I like your fluffy slippers or whatever. And she's like thanks, and it's just a little bit awkward, but he's trying. And there's a moment where Gemma's like sort of walking around, and she says, honey, have you seen my other shoe? And both the boyfriend and the daughter are both saying, no, I've not seen it. And the way the little girl just kind of like looks over at him with this side eye of like, you just responded to the word honey. Well, like I thought that was actually quite funny. It was like, oh, she's picking up on things. she's putting two and two together.
Yeah, it was a nice little touch.
So yeah, this is when she goes to this address in the book. She finds Claire, who's a tattoo artist who likes to tattoo drawings onto grapefruit. Is kind of her gimmick, because it's apparently the skin's similar enough to a human skin that it's a good thing to practice on or something. I don't know. That's what she said.
What else is good to practice on?
I don't. Where are you going? I can't wait to see where you're going with this, Tim.
I'll tell you after the show. It's it's a little risque for some of our patrons.
What? Yeah, this is where she finds out that Elise is dead, right? It's like Elise has been dead since 2011, and I'm like, yep, that sounds right. Yep, from what I remember from the other movies, that sounds right. And it's like, but I have this gift, right? So Claire's got an ability herself, which is she's I guess kind of just a psychic, I guess, but she like Elise can talk through her, right? She's able to hear things from Elise. So she's like, hey, I'm going to go under with this pair of headphones, and she puts herself in a straitjacket in case like one of the demons comes back inside her. But she's like, hey, when this timer goes off, make sure you wake me up. But Elise is going to talk to you through me. And sure enough, Elise possesses her body and has a nice chat with Gemma explaining the plot of the movie.
One thing I do want to just kind of mention is I do like how, a lot of things are kind of just thrown out there. Like, you don't always need like a big backstory. Like, it's not like, like it's just like, oh, like, yeah, she's a person that I can talk to. It's not like, oh, when I was a little girl, like, she saved me from this, blah, blah, blah. Like, and yeah, and again, like, yeah, you just kind of quickly go over like, oh yeah, this is my gift. Like she like channels things through me and I draw them. Like I like that, not everything is like this huge monologue or whatever. Like sometimes they just kind of throw stuff out there and you're like, all right, I get it.
No, but you understand the rules of it well enough so that when it comes back up into play later, like things pay off based on this, as opposed to this being something that's paying off like 10 minutes of setup of like why this woman has any kind of ability at all. So, because even the people who can go into the further, that is inherently an ability, right? That from the very first movie, it's like, hey, you and your son have this ability to go into this place called the further. Like, there's not everyone that can do that. So we're in a mythology where yes, people have inherent abilities, even if they're not super big things. It's not like they're shooting lightning bolts from their arse, but they're they're doing things related to the supernatural. So so basically this just breaks down, hey, this guy Cyrus, he wants to use you because he knows you have this unique ability to bring things in and out of the further, and he wants to hijack you to get out, and then he wants to use you after that because he's made promises to basically a bunch of other demons and entities that he will get them out into the real world as well so they can torment the living world. And I'm like, okay, that's a kind of a fun premise, right? And I think what I liked about it as well as we get more into it is we find out that Cyrus used to be a human, right? He was alive in the real world and he was a cult leader. He had like a sort of Manson family cult where people followed him. And that's actually what the three old people are, is they were like his followers when they were in their 20s. And now they're old, but they're kind of like doing stuff in the real world for him. They use sedatives to go to sleep so they can go into the further and help him out in there, but they also do stuff in the real world. It's why they're tormenting the main character by following her and trying to provoke her into things and whatnot. So it's like, okay, I like how all this is kind of lining up and it's setting these things up, and we're kind of, like at least explain some of this. Not all of it comes from this scene. Some of it comes from like seeing the videotape later, or when she maybe looks at the police report that she gets her boyfriend to get for her or whatever. There's a few other places this information comes from, but it's a clear, understandable goal that he has, and I like that he already had some villainous mystique before he became a demon. And I did remember as well as they were explaining all this, the villain from the first couple of movies, the sort of the bride, if you want to call her that, the whole second movie was about how that was also a human to begin with.
Right,
because we got the backstory of what turned out to be a guy. It was a boy that got dressed up and became this villainous female character. So there is precedent here for these entities in the further being human once upon a time before they became whatever they became.
Yeah, and again, it's like it's very comic booky, but it's kind of fun, like having this like rogues gallery of like different demons or freaks or weirdos trapped in there, and and it's cool that they found like a very different type of villain to have here.
Having all the other demons was also an appeal in the first movie, because that was kind of one of the fun things about watching the first movie was that, oh, there seems like there's different, like, because at one point you see like this military type ghost, at one point you see this other thing, you're like, well, how does this all fit together? And then it became like, oh, no, like, all of these things are gravitating towards them, but they're all different demons coming from this other place. Like, that's kind of part of what the lore being built up was cool, was there was this idea of like, yeah, like, you've got this like other place where all these entities exist. So in this movie, it makes complete sense that you've got all these other types of demons, and you do eventually get to see these other ones that we've recognized before. We see the bride, we see, it's not until the very end actually, but we do see the red and black Darth Maul looking one from the first movie as well.
Yeah, and then is at the end of this scene where they have that kind of vision where like they show, like them breaking out of the real world, and like Nick driving in with his cop car with just like this like all the dead people in the world.
That might be this scene. I actually don't remember for sure, but it would make sense it would be the end of this scene, because she basically sees, so there's like this kind of like 1920s looking woman who's got a shotgun who seems to shoot her boyfriend in a cop car. We see the other ghosts like tormenting people in the streets, and
like because he's like driving it looks like he's driving the cop car to like come see her, then he stops in the middle of the road because it's just like all the demons are out in the middle of the road, and then like he turns, and that like old-timey woman with the shotgun is just there and shoots him and stuff. And then like this got me kind of excited because I was like, oh, like, so we're not just going with like that this like one demon is trying to escape into the real world or whatever. Like, oh, we might see like this whole army of like ghosts and stuff coming.
Yeah, it basically turns it into, this isn't just about saving you from being like haunted or possessed. This is actually about saving the world, because they're going to come out and take over. And it's like, okay, the stakes are high. All right, we're doing bigger stuff here. And obviously, when this happens, like, Gemma's freaked out. She believes it because she's seen all this stuff. Everything at least kind of made sense for the most part. And the boyfriend stays over, and he doesn't really quite believe her. Like, she says a couple of things that she found out, and he's just kind of like, okay. And he's, he's nice enough about it, but he's like, hey, maybe you need therapy. Maybe you need this. And I was thinking, okay, we're doing the whole thing where the boyfriend doesn't believe her. And to be fair, I get why he doesn't believe her. It's all pretty insane sounding. But I loved that night they're lying in bed, and she's had another sort of creeped out little moment, and he's still kind of not really believing her. And this is when like the first proper test happened, where like when she went to her sleep in her further this time, the villain had a demon like sort of grab onto her, like one of the demon guys, and when she wakes up and the boyfriend's like looking at her and doesn't really believe her, he then sees this demon behind her. She has brought it into the real world. So this is what I was saying earlier, where immediately it just like gives him something that he cannot deny, so that he's on board. He sees this demon. Although, to be fair, this entity is cut in half, and then it kind of slowly dies just on the floor. And clearly this hasn't worked as well as it was supposed to. It's like she's only brought half of it into the world. So as a result, it's killed it. And I'm like, oh, that's an interesting thing, especially since they have to dispose of the body, or the half of the body, into the freezer. So and it's like, okay, how do we deal with that now?
So it's nice. Like, it's set up with, that was the same thing that happened to the book too. Like, only half of it.
That's right. Yeah.
Coming over, and I'm guessing the implication is that she hasn't been completely like broken or worn down yet. So, like, I guess maybe, they need to kind of keep at her or something. Like, that's, I guess, the only explanation I had for why it's not fully working at this point.
Partly that. I think part of it's also just like she's not really learned to properly do it yet, because she's kind of just doing it by accident right now. She's not intentionally trying to like bring or take anything to her from yet. Because later on, when she does it by will, it seems like, no, she's able to control it well enough to like take as much as she wants. So obviously at this point, boyfriend's on board. He's like, okay, I saw this thing, and she's like, hey, they're going to keep doing this. They're going to keep trying to get me to bring people back until it succeeds. And he's like, well, we don't have a lot of freezer space, so what are we going to do? So, quickly it becomes like, all right, well, what can we do about this? What are we doing? And very quickly here, I think the daughter's the one who sees across the street that the three creepy old people are in like the neighbor's house across the street. And there was a quick scene earlier on when we were introducing the kid and all that, where she's coming home from school and like the friendly old neighbors are, this old couple who are kind of sweet and nice. And I thought it was a little bit cheesy, like the introduction of these two characters, because they do this little joke where the husband's not really paying attention and he keeps like not understanding like who she's talking to, like he's just a little bit behind.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit goofy. I will say though, I like the payoff, because later on in the further, when their ghosts help someone get like find where they need to go, like they pay it off by having the wife point like all spooky towards something with a smile on her face, but the husband just sort of stands there until she nudges him, and then he starts pointing as well. And I'm like, okay, that was a sweet little payoff.
That's funny.
Especially since, like, I think you're at least a little bit sad they got killed by the three creepy, cult followers. So it's like, yeah, okay, this is a nice little send off for them. Give them a little happy, helpful moment.
No, that was nice. And then, so this, like, basically this scene here, yeah, because I think that those neighbors were the Sullivans. So basically what they do is they have, Nick go and he does like a wellness check on them. So like, he talks to the three old people while Gemma sneaks in, and that's where she, like sees like the TV that's playing the videotape of Cyrus, and then I think wait, she doesn't see the picture of her hanging on the wall, right? Or
she may see that in this scene actually. It's the one from the dentist that was stolen, obviously. I don't know if she sees it in this scene or a later scene, but she definitely sees it at some point. What Joe, this is what I liked about this though. This is when I really started to get into the movie really, really properly. Is one, we'd established what the villain's plan was, and it was easy to understand, and it was starting to feel a bit Elm Street. But also this idea that now the boyfriend's on board, and he's using the fact that he's a cop to like give them like a, like, hey, I've got a reason to go to their door. I can say it's a wellness check, and you see him even turn off his radio, but he pretends to call for backup to make the three old people kind of come out and like. They don't even talk to him, but they just kind of stand there as if they're kind of cooperating, but they're not really doing anything.
Yeah.
But I liked that this was like immediately, okay, we have something to investigate. We've got this house across the street with these people who are connected to the villain in the real world, and we're going to form a plan to try and do something about it. So this is where the movie started to really click into place for me, where I was like, okay, I like the proactive nature of what the characters are doing, and that leads to some cool lore with like, okay, Cyrus was this cult leader, and these people were following him, like, and he was sending people to the further when he was alive. Like, they were giving each other drugs and sedatives to like go into the further, and everything was kind of revolving around all that.
Yeah, and it kind of gives you the idea of like, because usually we only see characters like going into the further, by accident, or usually it's like our main characters who are good people or whatever. So it's kind of interesting of like, oh yeah, like what if an asshole or a complete piece of shit like had that power, what would he do with it? So that stuff's all interesting. So I do like all the lore and everything it sets up, but this does lead me to my biggest like question of the movie, which I don't know if you have an answer. Like, me and my wife were talking about it, like I could not for the life of me figure out. But like basically after this scene, then I mean, correct me if there's something in between, but I think basically the next part is them kind of formulating the plan of how they're going to like attack and, trap Cyrus and all this stuff. And like, part of the plan is like, okay, so like at night, we're going to need you to break into the house and find, the three human people, which I guess we haven't really mentioned it, but these human people, they call them the acolytes, and, they're basically living people that are serving Cyrus, and part of the whole thing is breaking down Gemma's will.
And you're talking about Nick being the one who's going to break into the house and wake them up.
Yeah,
because the idea being is that the plan to get Cyrus is that they have to get him through the red door, right? The red door that's like in like near her head and her further or whatever, right? They have to do that, and the whole thing is that the three acolytes are kind of guarding the door so she can't go through it. So the idea is that Nick has to go and wake them up so they're not in the further anymore, so that the coast is clear and she can go and, do the thing, right? With Elise, who's going to help her in the further.
So the thing I cannot understand for the life of me though is why did they not just arrest these people? Like they clearly, should not be in that house, and they haven't found the Sullivans like dead bodies yet, but I think it's pretty obvious that like they did something to him, or that that there's something going on there, and he is a cop, and I feel like there's plenty of reasons like he can be like, hey, we did a wellness check because my girlfriend noticed that they're staying there and that the people are missing and stuff, and like, and I don't know, I was just like, for the life of me I was like, wait, you mean they're still just hanging out at the house, like you didn't do anything like to them? Like I don't know, like does that not does that not seem weird?
It's a little. I mean, I guess I think it's maybe just a time thing more than anything, because it's the same day still. And like you said, they don't know the Sullivans are dead yet. He discovers that properly once he breaks out of the house that night doing the plan. So I guess it's just a kind of a combination of, well, we have to go do a plan, because he gets distracted because Gemma screams because she ends up going into the further. She ends up in the further inside that house. And she actually like teleports like most of the TV into the further with her, so it kind of like breaks and falls to the ground and all that. But I guess it's a combination of, well, we know they're across there, so we can do something about it. And yeah, none of this has been official. And I mean, yeah, you can say that. Hey, I mean, I feel like she'd have to call in like an official wellness check to get someone to go over and have a look at them. Because I don't think he can just say, well, I went over and did one off the books because my girlfriend told me to go do it, right? I don't think he could just do that. But yeah, it's just, I guess, maybe just a time thing more than anything. It's like we have to get moving on and everything else.
Yeah, like the only thing I could think of is if it's like, well, maybe it's better to have them where we know they are, as opposed to like, yeah, who knows if they're in a jail cell, but if they can still get in the further, then it's harder to get to them. Or like something like there's. Like I guess there's possible like explanations, but to me it just seemed like enough of a question to be like, maybe someone can just bring up something, even if you have like a quick dumb explanation, like sure, that's fine. But I was just thinking about it too much.
Yeah, a quick line or two just to explain why they're not just doing that. Honestly, it's only really a problem because he's a cop. Like, see if he wasn't a cop and he was just a civilian with another job, you would never question, oh, why isn't he just arresting them, right? You would just be like, well, they don't think they've got enough to call the police. Or maybe even if they think, oh, we can call them and say, hey, someone else is in their house, they don't know what the results of that are going to be or where they're going to take them. So, like, yeah, it's more of an issue because technically he can do stuff with his job, but he doesn't. I really get into this, though, because like once they're back at her house and Claire comes over and it's a very like Stranger Things-esque, like here's the plan, and she uses a bunch of grapefruits that she's tattooed all their faces on to go over the plan, which is that, hey, you're going to like pretend to bring Cyrus over, but instead you're not. Like Elisa's going to take him or something. Like we're going to do this whole plan, and it's all going to be about like making sure he can't come into the real world and dealing with all this. And it's like, okay, like fun. We got a goal. We've got characters who are all working together, have different jobs during this plan, and that's fun. It's dynamic, and I like the proactive nature of it all.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like the plan itself, I like, and yeah, I like that everyone kind of has a role. Like, Nick has to go and wake the three humans up so that they're no longer guarding the door. So then that way they can trap Cyrus in the door, and then was it tattoo? Was it her name Claire?
Claire, yeah.
Yeah, and then like her job is to like kind of guide Gemma back. So yeah, it's a good plan. I do want to jump ahead a little bit to the other thing that was kind of gnawing at me. But so again, jumping ahead just like a little bit, he does end up waking up, the first two people, and then eventually, like there's some trickery, some surprising stuff that happens with the last guy, coming back to the real world or whatever. But what I didn't really understand is like at that point, once all the people have like already started coming over and everything, why Cyrus was like so pissed off that like they were, like, no longer guarding the door or whatever. Because I'm like, well, what does it really matter at that point? Because at that point, like, you've achieved your goal. You're in the real world. Like, you brought all these people over. Like, you're still bringing people over. Like, why are you so upset that those people like are no longer there? Like, I don't know. I just thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah, the whole thing was that once Jem is in the further, she's with Elise, right, and they're waiting for the cop Nick to wake up, and he gets two of them. He gets the two ladies, but he doesn't get the guy. But it's enough for them to just try and go for it because they have to just get a move on. Like, time's running out, so on, so on. So we end up getting a lot of her memories. We see like the whole mum's death play out, and she sees, oh, like she was being haunted by this guy because she had the same ability as me, and if I've got that ability, it probably means my daughter's got that ability. So this is all about saving her as well. Because that becomes the big thing, is that Cyrus goes after the daughter to use her instead of Gemma during this whole third act sequence.
The one bit about this that I thought was nice, I was like, oh, I didn't actually see that coming though, is when we see the scene in the beginning, like after the mom starts banging her door, like the bathroom door slams shut, and then like Gemma can't get in, which I assume was just like something that the demon or the entity was doing. But like as you're seeing this, it was actually Gemma herself that did that because she didn't want like her younger self to like see it or whatever. So I thought that was like a nice little touch.
So, like, she's like, oh, shit, I hated my mother for all this, but she was actually protecting me. Like, she did all this to save me back in the day. So, it's like, okay, right, so that's that. And they end up finding her mother, obviously, in the further, and, like, a moment is shared, blah, 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 right, as you'd expect it to be. But the big thing is that, yes, Cyrus goes after the daughter, Maya, who's staying at the friend's house. The poor friend who was just babysitting ends up getting killed after the fact. But basically grabs her in the further because she sleeps and starts using her he obviously transports himself first into the real world. And the other characters actually realize this, like, Elise can sense it. She's like, shit, Cyrus is in the real world. He get into the reality, and it's like, okay, well, we have to get back to your body immediately. He's going after your daughter. And sure enough, like, once he like gets into the real world, he just kills the babysitter, right? Super brutal. And he grabs the daughter and basically starts ferrying people backwards and forwards through the further into the real world. And they do this kind of effect where they have the daughter lie on a table, and every time he sort of taps her, because he can make her go to sleep at will, like it does this sort of flip thing where it sort of flips upside down, and then she's in the further, and then another demon or entity will come forward, grab onto her, he'll flip her back round into the real world, and yeah, we get like a whole, I don't know, couple dozen demons get into the real world via this way.
And real quick, because I think before they all kind of start coming over, we have the scene where, like, yeah, Cyrus shows up in the real world, he kills the neighbor, and then, Maya takes her dog. She's like, all right, I got a dog now. And she runs back home, hides in the closet. And I thought this was interesting. Like, yeah, Cyrus comes after her, and then, like, Nick comes, like, after him, too. And then, like, he, takes his gun out and starts shooting him. So, because I was wondering, like, okay, so now that they're in the real world, are they, like...
Oh, the human,
basically like human now, and this is kind of sets it up as like, oh no, there's still like demons that have powers, because he shoots them and like he does nothing, and then he basically kind of like force shoves him like all the way out through the house and into the car door. And then I thought it was kind of funny, like she's hiding in the closet, but she's with the dog, which like, I mean, I love my dogs, but they would be like the worst like people if you're trying to like stay quiet in a closet, like they would just be barking their head off. But it was kind of a funny scene, because like all of a sudden the dog is like outside the closet. You're like, wait, what? How is that happening? And then she looks down and it's just Cyrus's head that's like lapping his woof woof.
Yeah, she's cradling Cyrus's head instead of the dog. It was a fun switcheroo because it was kind of darkly funny, as well as being a payoff to the suspense. Because her hiding in the closet does last a good minute. It's like it's a fairly extended sequence. But yeah, like you said, once he gets her, though, that's when he starts ferrying all the demons into the real world. And by the time that Gemma gets back into the real world, it's like the house is filled with these demons, and she's sort of like trying to get to her daughter, and she's trying to sneak past all these people, and like the demons are like trying to grab at her, like one's trying to meat cleaver, another one, then eventually that woman that has the shotgun like shows up, and she's got a big smile on her face, and she's going to shoot her, and then Cyrus is like, nah, bring her to me. I want Gemma down here. So they kind of just shove her down like the stairs. It's like she's getting like bounced between all the demons down into the main room. But there's a bit, the twist here is, and this is what you were getting at earlier, which didn't make much sense, is that when Nick was trying to wake up the old man, right, he was able to ultimately do it, right, and the old man shows up to the house, in the real world, right, once all the demons are here, and he comes in with the two old ladies, and they're all smiling because they've succeeded and all the rest of it. Cyrus seems quite happy about all this, but then the reveal is that Elise has piggybacked into him. That much like earlier with Claire, Elise actually is in control of his body and is there to obviously help the good guys. And that's what pisses him off. That's why he gets upset, is like, you had one job and you let this, stupid old psychic lady take you over and give the good guys an advantage. That's why he gets mad and kills all three of them.
Well, I get that, but I feel like, I mean, maybe I have to watch it again, but like I feel like he was even mad before then, or maybe they were still really focused on like waking him up, and I don't know, it just seemed kind of weird to me, where I was like, okay, at this point it seems like maybe that's like the least of your worries. Like, I don't know, maybe it'll be a bit more clear on a rewatch, but I remember at the time seeming like they were so focused on like, oh yeah, we gotta find this last guy and wake him up, and it's like, it seems like now there's like bigger problems. Like, I don't know.
What are you talking about though? Because that was like way before this though. Like the whole finding him to wake him up took place before, because that's before Nick even gets knocked out by Cyrus.
I mean, it's hard because I've only saw it the one time yesterday, but I remember it seeming weird as I was watching it. So maybe I'm getting stuff in my timeline confused, but
I think you are. I think you're mixing the order of things up here a little bit, because it definitely felt like it made sense to me in the moment when it happened, because it was after the Elise reveal, I think, where he gets mad and kills them, because he's still alive at that point, and then because once he kills them, they're definitely dead, because he slits their throats and they go down like a sack of bricks. For sure, yeah.
Maybe it was something like in the way he worded it or something, but I just remember it sticking out as being weird, but it's kind of hard to properly voice it until I rewatch it.
The big thing here, though, at the end is that it's basically like, Gemma is able to get her daughter and shove her outside with Claire and all the rest of it, and they're banging on the door, and she can't get out. Cyrus is, kind of slammed the door shut, and he's got Gemma inside the house. All the demons are there, and he's like, hey, we're going to keep using you until you're dead, and then we're going to take over the world, blah, 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 whatever the monologue is. And I have to admit, I was genuinely quite surprised and impressed with how this ends, because I was wondering, how do you get out of this? How is she going to like pull something off here? Like, obviously, Elise did a bit of a Hail Mary to help before with like possessing the old guy. And that was because basically what that does is that saves the kid, because he goes and like picks her up, and it's not until he's got her like out the door pretty much where Cyrus is like, hey, what are you doing with her? And then she's like, aha, I'm Elise. I'm like the Insidious like recurring guest character who saves the day. And that was how that played out. So once she's alone though, Gemma's alone in the house with all the demons, and Cyrus has got her up against the door. You're like, okay, maybe she's going to grab him and take him back into the further, because she's maybe like, she's because Elise gave her some advice, and it's like, okay, she's going to like Luke Skywalker feeling the Force, she's going to finally be able to just like at will go into the further and take someone with her, and she's going to take Cyrus. But that would obviously leave all these other demons. Like, that's a lot of demons she's got to take back and forth, one at a time. And the solution to this is that she's clutching the doorknob, he's monologuing, and then he realizes after like a bit that he's in the further, and he's like, wait, how? Because she wasn't touching him. And the reveal And it does some like quick cutting, showing you the TV again and showing you the other things she's taken backwards or forwards into the further.
Mm-hmm.
The reveal is that she took the whole freaking house into the further so that all of the demons would go in one fell swoop because she was clutching the doorknob. And when we cut back to the real world and we see that the house is just gone, but there's just sort of some ripped foundations and like a pipe of water like burst and like some sparks going off, and the other people are all like, holy shit, the house disappeared. It feels like a pretty good like gotcha, but for the good guys. That's for a great change. Yeah, it feels like, do you know what? That made sense. It felt like a good payoff to like everything that she'd been, we'd been setting up throughout the course of the movie. And feel like a genuine smart way to end all this. And then this kind of ends everything in general because all of the other demons who he'd been making promises to about getting out of the further now all want to get him. So they all start chasing Cyrus, and he has to do a runner.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought, this was all pretty effective. And then, I also thought it like hit a nice emotional beat because, when they all leave the house, she like slams the door shut, and then Maya comes running back to like try to get her, and she's holding on to the doorknob and trying to open it, and she's holding the door closed, and she keeps saying like let go, and at first it kind of sounds like let it, like, don't worry about me, let go of me, but it's like there's like the double meaning of like, no, literally let go of the doorknob because I'm about to take this whole freaking house to the further, and it's I thought it was like very effective, and like once you like the gears start turning, you realize what's happening. It's like feels very badass, and it all worked really well. And then it's nice to see the villain get like his I guess comeuppance or whatever. Because I was like, okay, this is cool, but like now you're trapped in here with them. But I like that they're like, oh no, they're pissed at Cyrus, so they're not even really gonna pay attention to you. I
kind of like the reveal that he's not actually any more special than any of the other demons. He was just making all these promises because he had like a way of getting them out, and then it all just turned. And this is where you see like the close up of like the bride's mat, because we see the bride a few times actually. Like she's going to touch the kid at one point earlier, and she's one of the ones that have come out of the real world. But we do see the red and black demon here, like sort of hissing at him or whatever it is at one point in the mix of all this.
I feel like they showed this to like this other kind of like smaller demon, which I feel like, at least as far as I recall, I don't think we've seen before, but I was like, it's nice. I feel like they're trying to be like, oh, here's like a new demon too as well.
They can be creative with this. They can add a few extras every time. I mean, no reason why not. But no, I think the word badass is right. It felt like a badass move that saved the day, and she goes back into the real world, and reunited with everyone hugs, is happy. The girl finally got her dog, and also this whole like getting rid of the house is actually something that kind of pays off like a running through line.
That's right,
where she's still staying in the same house that her mother died in because she inherited it. And I mean, because that's the thing, the boyfriend's like, oh, why are you still staying in that house? That's probably why you're having nightmares. And she's like, oh, I want to make it the home that it never was before, and it's my house. And all I could think was, you could just say it's a free house, and it's
that's very true.
It's this it's 2019. It's not quite present day, but it's close enough. The housing market wasn't that much better in 2019.
No. I mean, definitely the house itself, but then also like when she's like her daughter would like wants to get rid of toys, and she's like, well, let's save them just in case, and you can see like their whatever that was, garage or like attic or something like that was just like filled with boxes and all this stuff that she can't let go, and then it's finally like, okay, we could see the metaphor here, which is why we didn't mention like with those toy stuff, like the one toy the daughter wanted to keep was like this weird popcorn thing that like dances and lights up and like repeats what you say. I was thinking cactus like thing because the way it sort of opens up.
Actually, I'm glad you brought this up because I'd forgotten about this. Right, so it's basically, it's not used as much as I thought it was going to be, because when they set it up that she wants to keep it, it basically repeats whatever you say to it in its own little computery voice, and you hear like a demon speaking through it at one point later. It's not like a big deal, but when this thing gets whipped out and it's this kind of tall kind of thing, and then it turns on and it starts sort of wiggling from side to side. Honestly, the first thought I had was, this looks like a sex toy. what is this thing, right? like Gemma wants to keep this for herself, I think. Like seriously, it's very phallic shaped, and it does this sort of like wiggling, vibrating thing going on, and I'm like, who designed this for a child? I mean, I guess a child would never notice how dodgy it looks, but like all I could think was how just, I don't know, how inappropriate it potentially could be used.
But that is funny because like I did think it was strange. I didn't go quite to that level, but it did just stick out at me as being like, yeah, why would you ever want this? Like this thing looks dumb as hell. But then it has such like a very obvious mechanism that you're like, okay, yeah, I can see where the scares are gonna be with this. Where it's gonna start repeating stuff at the end. But I like that it is kind of like, oh, it's almost like a walkie-talkie for the dead and stuff. Because you hear the demons, but I think at one point you also hear like Gemma and them like talking through it as well. So, I like that it's just like this, I don't know, communication thing.
But I did forget all about it until you mentioned it, because I was definitely noticing it the first few times it popped up. It was definitely sticking out for how silly it was. But yeah, no, I mean, I liked kind of the fact that it sets up rules, it pays them off. The reveal that Elise had possessed the old guy, and that's the only time we hear him talk, actually, is when she's talking through him. It's
that's
like,
right, yeah.
hey, this makes sense. They set this up that she could do this earlier. This idea that she went and, like, you know, possessed them when Nick woke him up made a lot of sense. The transporter of the house also made a lot of sense based on the rules they set up prior. It felt like it set things up and it paid them off in a very satisfying way, whilst also adhering to these idea of what the Father has always been. And, you know, the idea that, yeah, they all want to get out. That's why they always want to possess someone, because they're all just desperate to use someone to get into the world to cause more torment. And you get a glimpse of what they'd be like in the real world, but not a ton of it. Maybe we'll get more of that in a future sequel or something. But, you know, maybe one will get out in the future who actually, you know, stays out in the real world and causes a bunch of chaos or something for a while. I don't know.
Yeah, it's so interesting, the stakes, because like obviously the second one was all about, you know, one demon that's like inhabiting Patrick Wilson's body or whatever. But even then, it just seems like, oh yeah, they just want to be out in the real world because, you know, they don't want to be in the further anymore. Like here, I just like how big in scope it is, where it's like, oh yeah, they want to like destroy the world, like they want to just like completely like take things over. And then for a while you're like, oh, you know what, I mean, genuinely they might be able to do some serious damage, like if they can't be killed, and like what can stop them. So yeah, I like just how big in scope it feels, and then it just makes like, yeah, the victory all the more like deserved and everything when it happens. So I think everything about this, again, with other than me having like a few random questions here and there, but like everything about this last act like really works, and like it does a good job of building towards it and makes it like pretty exciting. And again, it feels different than a lot of other movies where it's not just like some little personal thing, anything where you're fighting for your family or whatever, which I mean they're still doing, but also like these larger ramifications of what could happen and why they have to get rid of these people. It's very cool.
Yeah, it comes together in a way that it's a lot of fun. It's like, it's a movie, like I don't think like it's going to be a knockout like all-time great or anything, but for the 6th entry in Insidious, it's actually surprisingly pretty good, and does some new things with the mythology, has some proactive beats that are really nice. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I think this, obviously it's better than 4 because 4 was the stinker of the franchise, but like I think this is probably better than the last one.
I would say so, yeah.
Probably better than 2, from what I remember, from that being a bit messier, even though I liked it at the time.
Yeah, I really like 3. I'm a big fan of 3, so it's might be a little tough to put it above that, but
yeah, but even if this is the 3rd best, that's still in the upper half of the franchise. Like that's 136 is the is the top 3 effectively, which
I would probably say so. Yeah. and then again, it's just surprising that it feels like they just came out with like such little fanfare or anything about it, when it's like, no, this is really solid. Like, I mean, yeah, it's not maybe going to be like, it is a very heavy year, and it's not going to make waves like, Backrooms or Obsession or something like that. But again, it's a pretty darn like good entry. I feel like. So it's I mean, maybe people are just like, yeah, and since it is a 6-1, maybe people are just like a little tired of it or whatever. But I still just am kind of surprised that I'm not hearing or seeing more about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just maybe not big news anymore to have another Insidious, but like, I think it's really solid. It's a good sequel. I think that's ultimately what I would say. It's a good sequel. Not perfect as a movie, but definitely a good sequel. And we do already have a 7th one kind of on the way, which is a Thread, an Insidious tale. Which, although that one's definitely titled more like a spin-off, even though arguably it doesn't really matter, because I feel like 3 was more standalone, 4 was more standalone, and 6 was more standalone. Only 1, 2, and 5 were the ones that were a lot more like connected with the main. I mean, obviously Elise's popped up and stuff, but like, those were that main family were 1, 2, and 5.
I really want to know what's going on with that one, because I feel like that's one that's, I don't know if it's been done for a long time, but I feel like I've definitely heard about it for like at least a couple of years now. That it's like, because I think that's the one that has like Kumail Nanjiani's in it, and is Mandy Moore like the other lead? Like, I feel like I keep hearing like that. Oh yeah, like they're in an Insidious movie, but like there's no like release date or anything yet. Like I don't know. I feel like I've been hearing about that for a while. Very curious if
they announced
what's going on.
They announced in May 2023 the cast, and there's not really been many updates since then. Let's go to Wikipedia. You know what? I'll Google the title, see if anything juicy comes up update wise. So I don't know how true this is, but when I googled it, there is like a small plot synopsis on Google, but I don't know if it's accurate at all. But it says a married couple use a magic spell to travel back in time to prevent the death of their young daughter.
Okay.
I mean, if this is connected to Insidious, it's definitely a spin-off, because that sounds so wildly different to any of the other Insidious movies.
Yeah, that's very strange.
There doesn't seem to be any indication that it's even shot yet, so it could just be in development hell, and for whatever reason keeps getting kicked down the road. Or maybe not, I don't know. But it was definitely announced before this one that we just talked about was, and this one obviously has now come out and is here. So we have a 7th one tentatively there, and this one's doing well enough that I wouldn't be surprised if a proper number 7 ends up coming up at some point. But
yeah, I think after the last one, I probably would have said like, what, I don't know if we really need any more, because it was just like, I guess I was like a good enough goodbye and wrap up of the series, even though I do quite like it. But it's like, all right, I don't know if we're spinning our wheels here, but after this one, I'm like, what, if you're gonna come up with some more like big ideas or wild swings, like, I'd be very interested to see the franchise continue.
Again, I'll just, as a sequel, I think it's a good sequel. I think it has some cool ideas that fit into the mythology, but do new things with it. And for the most part, is a good time. I'm very pleasantly surprised by this. I will say. So I guess we should rate the movie then. So Tim, what are you giving Insidious out of the further?
I think I'll give it a. Trying to decide between like a 7 or a 7.5. I think it's a lot of fun. Again, pretty surprising that this far in the franchise that they're doing something really fresh and interesting, and it actually all works. It's definitely some complaints here and there. Again, maybe like there's not really a lot about it that's bad. It's just like maybe like some things that's like, okay, maybe if the characters were a bit stronger, or maybe like a thing here or there that's yeah a bit more memorable or something, it could yeah elevate it into like, oh well, no, this is like really great or anything. But I think kind of just maybe falls short of that, and to the point where it's like, oh no, it's like pretty good. So I guess I'll go with the 7.5.
Hmm?
Yeah, no, it's very fun for what it does, and yeah, I think especially like yeah that last, however, third actor or whatever, just kind of puts it over the edge, being like, oh no, this is actually like really cool and interesting. So, oh, and well, sorry, to go back, but I guess we probably won't have a ton to say, but we should probably mention the mid credit scene in
Oh,
it too.
yeah, it's basically just Cyrus gets caught by the dentist demon and it starts drilling into him. That's kind of it.
Then was it the um again, I don't know if I turned away for a second or I missed something. Was it the dentist demon, or was it another demon that like they showed someone had a hand with like the skeleton key, which I don't remember four enough, but I remember that was like a thing from four where, yep, there was like a key dude or whatever. But I wasn't sure if they were saying like, oh, it's a dentist guy that demon, or are they saying like that demon was also just there? I don't know.
I don't know. You're asking me a question I have no idea about him. I don't remember a goddamn thing about 4. It was terrible. I mean, there's a quick moment with a key, but like I think it is the dentist demon because it's like a payoff to like him saying, "Oh, you can have her when she's dead." Like that was what he said to him earlier on. This is just a payoff of like, hey, he's finally getting to like torture someone, and it's the villain. I think that's all this is at the end. Anyway, my rating, probably, I think I'll say 7 for now. I feel like 7.5 is maybe leaning towards a bit too much towards great, and I think but honestly the thing that would really put it over the edge for me is just loving the characters more. If I really, and I don't hate the characters, they're perfectly serviceable, but if I was really into the main characters and their relationship and like found them all likable, I think it would really elevate everything a bit more. Like that one little moment where the boyfriend meets the daughter for the first time, and that little like side eye she gives him when he responds to being called honey. Like more moments like that, I think would have went a long way to just endear me to them a little bit. But as it is, I think it's a good sequel. I think it's a good movie. I think it plays with the formula and adds some new things in that make some sense. So no, there you go. That is Insidious out of the further. So nice. Next time on the show, we should be doing our next Hammer Dracula movie. So we're finally doing an older movie again for a for a week. It's been a while, but we're doing the Satanic Rites of Dracula, which is the penultimate Dracula Hammer movie. Although it's the last one with Dracula in it. But Van Helsing goes on to be in another movie after. So, but we're almost done. We're very near the end of the Hammer Dracula movies. So, Satanic Rites of Dracula next week. Look forward to that. But no, otherwise though, you can of course like, subscribe, all that stuff helps out a bunch if you do, and mainly you can support everything over in Patreon, patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. Get some bonus stuff, including the back catalogue of bonus episodes, even more stream segments, which we do most weeks. But there you go. That is the show. Thanks to everyone who already does support us. It does mean the world and helps keep everything coming. But that is us, so thank you once again for watching or listening. We do appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, and we will see you next time.